Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. And in today's video, we've got a lot to discuss when it comes to Texas Tech men's basketball and the, well, not so secret scrimmage anymore against the Air Raiders, the Texas Tech TBT team. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about these cool videos that Texas Tech Twitter has released with Grant McCasland leading the way and interviewing some of the former stars of Texas Tech men's basketball and how important they were to setting this foundation for Texas Tech men's basketball. And also, hey, happy TBT tip-off day in Lubbock, Texas. It starts off at 1 p.m., but the Air Raiders don't play until 8. We'll discuss that and their opponent and more. But before we do that, I want to ask you one question and one question only for the whole video. That's it. What is your favorite memory of Texas Tech men's basketball inside United Supermarkets Arena? Can be anything. It can be a singular player, getting to meet them, one game, whatever it is. Let me know on the pinned comment below your favorite Texas Tech men's basketball memory inside United Supermarkets Arena. All right, well, Texas Tech men's basketball, there's a lot to discuss here, and you may have seen the highlights yesterday that they posted on Twitter, but they had a secret scrimmage. It's not so secret anymore now that they posted some of it to social media, but they had this secret scrimmage on Monday afternoon against the TBT squad. After a lot of these guys got into town, Davide Moretti was the last to turn in to the TBT team last night on Tuesday, July 18th. He was getting some shots up at the Womble. They posted a video of that. But when you look at the overall takeaways of this, and this is just from what I've heard of people that were there, right? This is what some people have told me. A scrimmage took place. This is no doubt a good thing for Texas Tech men's basketball. That's obviously what I think about this, right? But the Air Raiders won, and they won pretty handily. Think about it. They're playing to get up against a bunch of pros, right? That's not, a crazy thing to think about when it comes down to it, and it doesn't signify anything bad for this Texas Tech men's basketball team for 2023 and 2024. You're facing grown-ass men, all right? Let's just be real about this. The pace was the interesting aspect. I had multiple people tell me that the pace for Texas Tech men's basketball was that of a little slower. They were trying to figure some things out and put guys in interesting situations, whether that was Lamar as the ball-dominant guy, as a primary ball handler, pop off the ball. They tried to run Lindsey and Washington together. There was multiple things they were trying to do to put, these guys maybe in uncomfortable positions, I would say, against pros just to see how they would react. But also, they wanted to put some of their best lineups out there in terms of what Grant McCasland thought, what Matt Brower thought, Chokey thought, Luke Barnwell in terms of their best lineups up against these pros, and Tariq Owens, Todrick Gocher. You've got other guys out there, Matt Mooney as well, right? Like, you've got legitimate NBA pros facing off against guys in college still. So I thought that that was a really big deal for Texas Tech in terms of their development moving forward, right? Because you think about this. If the TBT isn't in Lubbock, they don't have this opportunity. Now you bring a whole network of Texas Tech former basketball players into the fold, still guys playing overseas, still guys playing in the league, whatever it may be, right? And you get to face them off in a scrimmage against your team this year that has a lot of new guys, right? A lot of new pieces, specifically from the transfer portal. You get guys like Chance McMillan, Darian Williams, Warren Washington, guys like that going up and trying to build into this Texas Tech culture, right? And I think that that's a big deal for, first and foremost, for Grant McCasland. I don't think that can be understated. The off-the-floor implications of seeing guys that have done it at the highest of high levels at Texas Tech and have that around this new group of guys is pivotal in terms of their success. But strictly on the court, we'll see how this materializes in terms of the impact as the season goes on. But in my opinion, again, the biggest takeaways from what I've heard from people that were there were strictly the pace, the lineup constructions, and really just going out there and actually playing against pros. Because let's face it, if we're being honest about it, even from a scrimmage standpoint, right, that's the toughest game Texas Tech men's basketball will play this year. They're not going to play any more pros. You know what I mean? So that's one thing that I think it could be pivotal for the success and really allow Texas Tech as a team to move forward and really look back at this and say, hey, this is the toughest it's going to get, right, in a good way. Now we know what to expect at the highest of high levels. Now we can go in and put our own spin on the game and really move forward as a constructive unit. All right, let's talk about the Air Raiders and the TBT preview right here, okay? First and foremost, before we do, I mentioned it earlier when we first started the video. Be sure to go check out Texas Tech men's basketball Twitter page and listen to these videos with the head man himself, Grant McCaslin. He was kind of the host, I would say, of some fireside chat type deals. And no, don't shoot the messenger. That's what it's been called all the way back to FDR back in the World War II days. But that was kind of what it was, right? Like it was a fireside chat type deal with two people, getting to know them a little bit more on a personal level, because some of these guys were at Texas Tech when social media really wasn't that big of a deal, right? Let's just face it. But it was cool to see Grant McCaslin sit down with 6 former members of Texas Tech men's basketball, 5 players for the TBT, 1 coach, and Ronald Ross, Hobbs, New Mexico's finest right there. They talked about a variety of things, their favorite memory in their Texas Tech men's basketball career, what it was like being back in Lubbock. The most interesting one for me was John Roberson. He hadn't been back in Lubbock in 13 years. To see the development of not only Texas Tech men's basketball, but really Lubbock as a community had to have been shocking for him in a way. What it was like watching from afar. We talked to Todger Gocher here on the channel on Monday, and he talked about his experience watching the Final Four overseas, waking up at 4 a.m. to watch that game for Texas Tech against Michigan and Virginia up there in Minneapolis. And then also they talked about how far the program has come and new heights that this program has seen over the past 7 or 8 years. It was really cool to check out. The guys were Gocher, Kravich, Roberson, Ronald Ross, Tariq Owens, and Jordan Tolbert. So be sure to go check that out. And I'll even have the links down in the comments below, because I really do think it was one of those really cool things behind the scenes that you got to see from these guys that maybe you just don't get to hear from on a regular basis. All right. As for the Air Raiders, tip-off tonight in the 8:06 for the Lubbock regional aspect of the TBT. It will be rocking in the USA in July. I don't know the last time that that's happened for a basketball game for the Red Raiders in July, but here we are. They will face off against Purple Hearts. And for those that don't know what the Purple Hearts is, it's ran by ex-NBA veteran Dwayne Caswell and his son Dylan. This team was created to represent his goddaughter, who tragically was killed in senseless gun violence. So really their squad will donate a proceed of their charity to charity if they win the TBT to bring awareness to gun violence, especially in the inner city. So really cool type stuff for the Purple Hearts. That will be the first Air Raiders opponent tonight in the 8:06. And if you listen to Todrick in the interview that we had discussing his career at Texas Tech and also TBT, they're expecting over 10,000 people to be in the 8:06 tonight to watch the Air Raiders take on the Purple Hearts. So that'll be really cool to see. Tip-off is scheduled for 8 p.m. tonight at the USA in Lubbock, Texas. And if you're not in the 8:06, you can watch it on ESPN Plus as well. But before we get out of here, once again, I'm just going to ask you one question for the whole video. What is your favorite Texas Tech men's basketball memory inside the United Supermarkets arena? Again, what is your favorite memory of Texas Tech men's basketball inside United Supermarkets arena? I am RC Maxfield reminding you, if you want daily Texas Tech videos, whether that's football or men's basketball and everything in between, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button to stay in the know right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel.